I've been wanting to make this video for a while now, and as somebody that is born and raised here in the beautiful city of Albuquerque, I want to give you guys some insight from a local that you should really think about. And in this video, we're going to talk about the top 3 things you should know when it comes down to living here in Albuquerque. Let's go. What a beautiful day, guys, to be talking about these great things that you guys should know, especially if you are planning on moving down here, guys. And in today's video, we're gonna go over 3 hot topics that I usually talk to my clients about before they make the move down here, just to make sure that it's gonna be a good fit for them. And if this is your first time tuning into the Living in Albuquerque channel, guys, welcome. My name is Eli. Go ahead and hit that subscribe and notification bell down at the bottom. That way you guys never miss out on any videos, because we are dropping videos every week talking about what this beautiful city of Albuquerque and state of New Mexico have to offer. Now, aside from doing these videos, guys, I just got to be fully transparent. Me and my team are licensed brokers here in the state of New Mexico, and as much as we love doing these videos, we would love to help you out with your real estate needs. So if you are planning on moving down to New Mexico this year in 2024, we'd love to help you out with any of those questions that you may have. And that number popping up on the screen is our direct line. I am the one that answers all the calls, texts, and emails. So if you are interested in moving down here this year, we'd love to get in touch with you. But let's hop right into this video. All right, so you probably want to know the real cost of living here, right? And I've talked so much about what you're expected to pay, the average price of homes here, utility bills, what it's going to cost you for a dinner for 2, all that stuff, right? And just to be honest with you guys, on the average, going into the fall of 2024, right now, the home prices are lingering around those mid 300s to the low 400s. So that's what you can kind of expect to pay in a house when you are planning on moving down here. Now, rent is usually around $1,300 to $1,500, just depending on what side of town you're going to want to live on. And again, with the home purchasing thing, if you are living closer to the mountains, the Rio Grande, or the petroglyphs, just in proximity of those natural things and amenities, you may pay a little bit more extra in taxes and the house price because they're super desirable. Around the topic of utilities, guys, it isn't going to be super crazy. It's not going to be anything outrageous. You're going to pay anywhere from $300 to $400 a month, just depending on what you're running, right? If you got refrigerated air like I do, you may pay a little bit closer to that $400 mark, maybe even a little bit more, just depending on how much you run the thing. If you're home all day, if you're not. For us, my wife works from home, the kids are home, so that thing is always constantly on. Now, there is some places in town, believe it or not, that you won't need all of that, right? If you live closer to the Rio Grande, you can pop your doors open, your windows open, and you really won't have to deal with all that stuff. Now, there is gonna be some days where you are gonna wanna rent it during the summertime, but now going into the fall, guys, I can just pretty much tell you that RC is pretty much off a majority of the time, and we're opening windows and doors just to keep the house cool and kind of keep the air circulating. In the wintertime, there's many different ways that we keep our houses nice and warm. A big popular one is actually running our wood burning stoves and fireplaces, because a cord of wood is going to be less expensive and it lasts way longer than what you would pay for initially for the gas bill. And to be honest with you guys, just that wood burning smell, kind of like that old school crackling vibe that you get from, you know, the wood burning and crackling at night. It's such a good white noise, and I don't know, I'd pay for that. I personally don't use it, but a lot of our family members do, and they get a ton of value. And they run their heaters from time to time when they don't feel like going out and splitting wood. So it's just more of a convenience thing. And believe it or not, it's probably a luxury nowadays. So if you are worried about how much you're gonna be paying in utilities, don't get so wrapped up in that, because there are also different ways that these utility companies put you on payment plans to make those utilities super affordable. Now, when it comes down to enjoying your luxuries, going out and have a cup of coffee, on average, you can pay anywhere from $2 to $3. If you go to Starbucks, of course, it's gonna be way more expensive. Now, dinner for 2, it's gonna run you anywhere from $30 to $40, just depending if you have drinks or not. And that's for a nice place like DH Les Combs, you're going to Garcia's, or you're going to Sadie's. Super affordable. Not gonna be anything crazy, but as far as like saving money, going out and doing things, there's a ton of free things to do here, like going on hikes, bike rides. We talked about that outdoor lifestyle a lot. And especially when it comes down to you just going out and, you know, enjoying what Albuquerque has to offer, because there is a ton of free events that we're gonna talk about later in this video. So if you stick around, you're gonna hear about a lot of local events that we usually like to go to as a family and enjoy ourselves. So let's get into this next topic, talk about the lifestyle and things that you can expect to do here when it comes down to living in Albuquerque. Speaking about our events and the local things that we got going on here, this area of Civic Plaza always has something going on. Right now it's pretty dead because it's in the middle of the week, plus it's a transitioning season. You're going from summer to fall, so they're getting it ready for those fall events that they're going to be having here. Sometimes they have concerts here, which is pretty cool, but one of the bigger events that we can expect to see here in the fall in Albuquerque, and it's really super unique to us, and that's the International Balloon Fiesta. One of the biggest events that we see all year aside from the State Fair, which is currently going on right now. And the State Fair, in my opinion, is a little bit more expensive. They tax a little bit more for the things that you want to eat there, but it's a whole experience, right? That's why you're going to it. The Balloon Fiesta is kind of the same. You may pay a little bit more for a burrito and some coffee, but it's totally worth it. Getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning to stand in line to get to the good parkings, to get into the Balloon Fiesta Park, to see the balloons just going up first thing in the morning. It's so nostalgic to me. I can remember as a kid going to these things, and now going as an adult, taking my kids. I know that's something that they're gonna experience and enjoy for the rest of their lives, and that they're gonna pass on to their kids and, you know, continue to pass down for generations. So if you've never been, over 500,000 people come into town from all over the world. They bring their balloons, or they just come to see this magnificent thing that we get to experience every year for free, essentially, because you don't necessarily need to go to the park to enjoy the balloons, because if you just step outside of your door, there's a high chance that there might be a balloon floating over your house. You might see the whole sky filled with balloons. And if you're running along the bosque, they do this thing where they call touching down, where they actually touch down, touch the water. And I've seen pictures of that posted everywhere, and it's so cool to see that man, I might get out there to the river this year to see if I can experience that. But really, guys, all the events here are gonna be super family friendly. They're gonna be centered around that. They're gonna be big on the holiday season. So now transitioning into fall, winter, you are gonna see, you know, those fall markets, Christmas strolls at Old Town and stuff like that. Royal Yards markets coming back. Even though it's cold, you're still gonna see a ton of people out there supporting the local community. So when they say that there's never anything to do here, I can promise you that we are gonna have our lull times, but for the majority, there's always something going on here. I can't talk about the outdoors enough, guys. And getting out here, talking about affordability, different events that they got going on here. Virtually most of the events are going to be outside because of our good weather and our good climate. So, I mean, why not? And for the majority, the events here are going to be like at a low cost or pretty much free. So if you are worried about spending money on all these events and if it's going to be expensive or not, there are going to be a few that are pretty pricey, to be honest with you guys. But for the majority, you know, getting into these events like the Balloon Fiesta and stuff like that are going to be pretty much a low cost. You may pay a little bit more in parking and for the burrito and the coffee, but that's kind of where they make their money. Outside of that, guys, if you do like outdoor adventures, you just want to go out and explore, we have a few hundred trails here that you can go out and enjoy. Now, there's a few easy ones that I recommend, like going out to the bosque, because that one's pretty much planned out. It's pretty much paved and it's easy to do. If you end up getting lost, you can find your way out without any issues. But if you are looking for something a little bit more difficult, you want to challenge yourself, we do have like La Luz, some other trails up there in the Sandias. I highly recommend getting familiar with those or going with somebody that knows the trails pretty well, because I'll just be honest, people have lost their lives on some of those trails, especially in the inclement weathers. And it's so sad to see that those things could have been totally avoidable if they would have just taken some precautions. But outside of that, guys, if you're not into challenging yourself and you just want to go outside and enjoy the outdoors, something as simple as just finding a good parking down here in downtown and walking to Civic Plaza, hanging out under this canopy, right, is just going to be something that's worth doing, because it's not super loud out here. Yeah, there's some road noise, there's, you know, kids playing here at the park, and there's people over there playing basketball and stuff, but to be honest with you, it's actually pretty nice. And I'm in the heart of the city. Like, what other city can you go to, major city at that, can you go to, and it's gonna be pretty enjoyable to be outside in the middle of the day, right? In other major cities, you may hear sirens going off, you know, people just running around through the streets all crazy. Here, it's actually pretty nice, you know, with the minimal noise that we have. It's actually pretty enjoyable. If you guys do enjoy the outdoors, there's plenty to do here. You can actually save money by doing these things, put some more money back in your pockets just by being more an adventurous person and going outside. Now, Albuquerque has a big history that not a lot of people know about. And one of those time periods that we like to talk about is the Prohibition era. Albuquerque played a big part, and secret has it, or legend has it, that Albuquerque actually has some underground tunnels in the downtown area. I've heard about it, I've seen some of it, because they actually have a speakeasy from that time period that is still active. And I don't know the name of it, but I know that it's under the El Rey Theater. I don't drink anymore, so I'm not gonna be going to that place anytime soon, but I've heard a ton of people tell me that it's actually pretty cool. So if you wanna know where that's at, hit me up. I love to get you the name and the website. That way you can book your own little private session or whatever to go into the speakeasy. But on the light of spooky season, fall season coming up, in Old Town, they actually still have active ghost tours. And I've been in Old Town, like, just on random days when I used to break dance, because we used to practice at the gazebo down there. And there's an eerie sense and an eerie feeling when you're there late at night and there's nobody there. Believe it or not, there's not a soul there besides the people that live in some of the old buildings, but it's still pretty creepy. And during October, they actually turn the majority of Old Town into a haunted house. So you get to explore the back alleys and all that stuff with some pretty creepy ghouls just scaring you and stuff. And speaking of Old Town, if you guys enjoy coffee, just a local secret. They don't advertise a whole lot, but if you go towards the San Felipe Drive, I believe it's called, there's a coffee shop in the back that's seated right next to a pretty cool patio area that has some greenery, water fountain, and you can actually enjoy and get a feel for what Albuquerque used to be like in its early days. So if you enjoy coffee, nostalgic areas, and beautiful courtyards, Old Town is gonna be a place for you guys. So little local secrets there. So if you do plan a trip this fall, you might wanna look into these things. Alrighty guys, that was a ton of information that I just gave you there, and I hope that you guys wrote it all down. If you didn't, I highly recommend just rewinding. You guys can tell my age, I'm a 90s kid. Rewinding some of this video back to get some of that good information. And if you guys have any further questions about what life is like down here in Albuquerque, you want me to elaborate a little bit more on the areas, the average cost of living in particular to those areas, and your lifestyle, that number popping up on the screen, guys, is my direct line. I love to chat with you guys as much as possible to give you all the right information that you guys need before you make that move down here to Albuquerque. But remember that as licensed brokers, we love to help you out with your real estate needs just as much as we love doing these videos. And I am the one that answers all the calls, texts, and emails. So I'd love to chat with you guys to see what we can do to help you. But I gotta run back to the office, guys. It's getting a little warm out here. Gotta let the kiddos enjoy the jungle gyms. Can't take it all for myself. And plus, I think there's an age limit on this. So a little creepy of me just hanging around here. I'm gonna get back to the office. Hope you guys have a great week. We'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.